Hi, my name is Rochelle, and you're watching or listening to BoxBox F1 Pod. Welcome to the Miami Grand Prix episode. What a race. I hate saying that. I hate saying that Miami was great because, they painted a parking lot blue and were like, look, it's a marina. But actually, it really delivered on some pretty racy racing. There was on-track drama. There was off-track drama. There was a whole baby. So Miami really delivered, in my opinion. And I'm very excited to discuss it. But as you can see, I am not cooking, mostly because I just did not have the creativity for Miami. And what I was going to make was not going to be, it could have been offensive. And I just didn't want to do that. So instead, we're settling for a blood orange mojito. And I'll tell you for why. Shout out to Bryn, if anyone knows. Blood orange mojito. Mojito, obviously, for Miami. Gotta represent a little bit. Blood orange because orange for Oscar Piastri's helmet. And the blood for the tears of every Tifosi on this planet. And also blood orange soda was all I had in my fridge. So that was a stretch, I admit. But I will be cooking for Italy, guaranteed, because I'm not missing pasta. And I'm also not missing the opportunity to say pizza, pasta, Piastri. Anyway, for now, we are moving on to the digital warm-up.
Hi, if you're watching, you'll notice something has changed. And if you're listening, hi, coming to you from the future to interrupt your regularly scheduled programming with some breaking news. So Alpine decided to be a little chaotic yesterday. And they announced that Ollie Oakes has resigned from Alpine with immediate effect. This was the statement. BWT, Alpine Formula One team, announces Oliver Oakes has resigned from his role as team principal. The team has accepted his resignation with immediate effect. As of today, Flavio Briatore will continue as executive advisor and will also be covering the duties previously performed by Oliver Oakes. The team would like to thank Oliver for his efforts since he joined last summer and for his contribution in helping the team secure sixth place in the 2024 Constructors' Championship. The team will not be making any further comment. Naturally, the assumption was that Oliver Oakes was basically either leaving or fired because of disagreements about what to do about Jack Doohan. The assumption being that Flavio Briatore wanted Franco in and Oliver Oakes wanted Jack Doohan to have more time to adjust. This is obviously all conjecture. None of this was confirmed at all. But that's what everyone was thinking. And what do you know? Today, Alpine releases a statement that Franco Colapinto will be making the step up to race driver for the next 5 races. So he's also on a trial period. For some reason, I feel like the pressure won't be as aggressive on him as it was on Jack, simply because Jack had the looming prospect of Franco upon him this entire time. And Franco knows he's wanted, and Jack, I feel like, didn't know that and didn't feel that because he wasn't. The team also said, a true professional, posted a picture of Jack Doohan and said, a true professional all the way. Thank you for your hard work and dedication whilst in the car, Jack. He will remain an integral part of our team as reserve driver. So they're basically swapping them for a bit. I don't know what's going to happen if Franco doesn't perform. Will they swap them back or will they go a completely different direction? I mean, I have a feeling Franco will perform. Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like I love Franco. I think he's a wonderful personality, and I think he's an incredible driver, and I think he deserves a spot on the grid. However, I don't think we got to see Jack Doohan's full potential because of the horrible environment he found himself in. He finally made it to F1. Finally, everything was going his way. And then all of a sudden, the second he enters, he's informed that his days are numbered if he doesn't fly across the track. It was just the pressure was immense, and not everyone can handle that kind of pressure. In fact, I think most people could not handle that kind of pressure in their first year. No, like, Franco's already been in F1 without that sort of pressure. So I feel like the mental space in which he's coming back into Formula One is much different than how Jack did, which is incredibly frustrating. I think it's entirely unfair for us to put so much pressure and so much expectations on rookies without giving them the space, the environment, and the support to grow, learn, develop. So my heart like actually breaks for Jack Doohan, because I feel like he was robbed of an opportunity in F1 because of Flavio Briatore. And I heard the craziest thing. So this whole time I was like, Jack Doohan's experience in F1 has been tarnished and ruined by Flavio Briatore coming into the team and making all these changes and like putting all this pressure on him. I found out today Flavio Briatore is Jack Doohan's manager. I don't know how that fact flew by me before, but that is psychotic. That is actually psychotic that Jack Doohan has Flavio Briatore as his manager, because Flavio is doing a terrible job as a manager. Like, truly terrible. Like, oh, sure, he kept his job as a reserve driver. Thank you so much, Flavio. I just get a new manager, Jack. Perhaps Mark Webber has some spare time to help a fellow Aussie, because this is insane. First of all, F1 to even let Flavio Briatore near an F1 team, to give him so much power, and we're all just watching him just like be evil. I feel like I'm gonna die for saying this, but like, he's evil. He feels mean and like rude, and like I think I prefer Dr. Helmut Marko, honestly. So all of this is obviously Flavio Briatore is doing. However, Alpine saw all these speculations and they were like, that's insane. They posted another statement, even though they said no more statements from us. They wrote, it's from Flavio Briatore and Alpine together. But I think it's coming from Flavio's account. It says, regarding Oliver Oak's resignation, it says, a lot has been said in the past 24 hours, incorrectly associating the decision of Ollie resigning to an alleged disagreement or that we share different views. This is completely false and far from the truth. Me and Ollie have a very good relationship and had long-term ambitions to drive this team forward together. We respect Ollie's request to resign and have therefore accepted his resignation. The reasons are not related to the team and are of a personal nature. I will continue to be more and more involved with the team together with the strong management we already have in place. We will work hard on improving our position this season and preparing for 2026. Included is a message from Ollie to the whole team. So this is from Flavio's POV. Message from Oliver Oakes. It's been a privilege to lead everyone at Enstone. What a team, what a place. It is a personal decision for me to step down. Flavio has been like a father to me, nothing but supportive since I took the role, as well as giving me the opportunity. Everyone is in place for 2026 and where this dream deserves to be. I believe in Enstone. Okay. This screams, I want to say it screams PR, but I'm not sure a competent PR team would have allowed such extreme messaging. Oliver saying that Flavio has been like a father to me. I don't know if he said something like that before and I've not heard it. If he has, fine. If this is the first time we hear him referring to Flavio Briatore as a father figure to him, something's suspicious. Like, it sounds like Flavio wrote this message from Oliver Oakes, especially since it's being posted from Flavio's account. And then Flavio saying that him quitting has nothing to do with the team and has to do with a personal nature. I mean, we're not stupid. Like, it's not like Oliver Oakes suddenly had like a personal situation like at home and had to resign immediately. Immediately Flavio steps in and replaces Jack Doohan. Like, that's not a coincidence. It's weird. It's suspicious. This whole messaging is bizarre and a lie.
I'm not going to go so far to say it's a lie, but I feel like them saying it's not a team decision, it's a personal decision. I feel like Ollie probably personally felt that Jack should be given more opportunity to grow. Whether Flavio was like a father figure to him, well, I don't fucking know. That's weird. But anyway, that's the tea on Alpine. Very suspicious things happening over there. By the way, all of this has been liked by Pierre Gasly, so his stamp of approval is there. But anyway, I guess we'll see how things will unfold. Jack has yet to post. Don't blame him. Take all the time he needs, sir. Again, I am really heartbroken for Jack. I truly felt like he deserved more time and a healthier space to grow. And I hope he doesn't stick around as reserve driver at Alpine for too long. I hope he goes somewhere else that will respect him more. And maybe we'll see him on the grid again, given another opportunity. Who knows? Franco, I love. He is a talent, and I think we will hopefully see good things from him in the next few races. So, like, again, I'm not upset that Franco's an F1, but I am upset how all of this happened. So that's that. I may mention later, I'm going to try to cut it, but if it doesn't work out to cut, I may be talking about, like TBD on what happens with Jack Doohan. That was recorded obviously before this part, so just ignore that. All right. Now you can move on to lap one. Lap one, off-duty F1. So this is actually, I saw this after the last race finished, but you guys remember that moment we talked about where in Parc Ferme, Charles was sitting on his little stand where his hat and his water usually is, and the camera was like zooming in aggressively onto his face for like a very long period of time. This entire time, I thought that it was like a long distance zoom. Like I thought there was a camera somewhere and the guy just kept zooming in, and like Charles just saw himself on a TV somewhere and was feeling uncomfortable. Nope. There was a man with a giant camera standing right in Charles Leclerc's face. Like right up in there. Just all up in there. I don't know if the zoom was broken, so he just had to like run up directly to Charles's face, but like that entire zoom in, he was just standing like this right next to Charles's face. So no wonder Charles looked so uncomfortable, because he could literally see the zoom. Not to mention impressive. If a camera was that close to my face, that's not what it would look like. Anyway, Carlos posted a photo dump of him doing sports because he loves sports and he don't care, who knows, from shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. Shout out Lonely Island. Anyways, Carlos had a very aesthetically sporty dump from the 2 weeks off, which included a scenic bike ride with him and Ollie Bierman, and him golfing with Alex Albon. And apparently Alex was very good during this golf session, which he later admitted was a fluke, but he didn't want Carlos to know. However, he did say it to the media, so now Carlos knows. Liam Lawson went to Stagecoach with his girlfriend, which was alarming. He was actually wearing basically this and cowboy boots. That's exactly why I wore this today. It was just to represent Liam Lawson. He seemed... It was a little bizarre to see Liam Lawson attend Stagecoach, especially in that getup. And I think Liam Lawson himself was a little, could hardly really believe the situation, because he mentioned it in 40 interviews. He's like, I own 3 cowboy boots now, and I don't know how that happened. And he's like, he was asked, when do you think people dress crazy? He's like, well, I dress crazy for Stagecoach. Literally just brought it up at every second. But kind of embarrassed. Moving on. Max had a baby. The baby's name is Lily Verstappen. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Max as a dad. The best part about this baby, by the way, is that the baby, I believe she was born earlier this week, not specifically on Thursday, aka Media Day, but given the timing of the birth, Max was given Media Day off. And I really think this baby, on her first day in this world, gave Max the best gift she possibly could give him, which is a day off media. Truly, truly iconic from Lily Verstappen. Everyone was very excited. All the questions were like, so what do you think about Max becoming a father, to all the drivers? And were they baiting them? Were they hoping they would say, I think he'll suck. Because I don't think anyone on the grid who's seen Max spend even like 5 seconds with Penelope would think that he'd be a bad dad. There was a lot of questions. Everyone got asked. Toto got asked, and he said he thinks that Max would be a great father because he's already seen him be a great stepfather to Penelope. He also says the baby is marketing gold if she ever decides to call herself Lily Verstappen PK and drive. Although he says, I know that Max has reservations about the baby driving ever. And I think Max has said himself, I'm not going to push her. If she like really wants to, fine. But like, I think he's trying not to repeat the mistakes of his forefathers. I really appreciated that both Christian and Toto called out that Max already has a baby in his family. Max said in an interview that he's known Penelope since she was 1. So every time they're like, are you scared to change a diaper? He's like, I mean, well, I've been there. Like, it's not like this is new. I've been up for sleepless nights. I've been like not a newborn, but he is not completely new to the game. His first interview back, by the way, was with ESPN, and they like got the most like some man with like a very Southern drawl, not like a bougie Southern drawl like White Lotus bougie, but like a Southern drawl. And it was so random. I wonder if Max requested an American because he didn't want to deal with British media. He also I saw him do a Dutch interview. I did not see him do any other media other than post-quality press conferences and post-racing stuff, which I don't know how he got out of that, but all the drivers are very happy for him. We kept seeing videos of people coming up to him and congratulating him. Fernando congratulated him. Charles congratulated him. Yuki congratulated him. There was a clip of him showing GP pictures on his phone, and everyone just assumed it was the baby. We have no evidence of that. It probably was the baby, but you know. My favorite though, my absolute favorite, 2 favorite interviews, honestly. One, I can't guarantee happened because I've only seen people repost it, but I haven't seen a video of him actually saying it. But allegedly, Fernando said that he can't wait to race against Lily Verstappen in the future. Which I love if he said that. I would love it if that actually happened. And my second favorite interview was Red Bull recording a congratulations message from both Christian and Yuki. And Yuki said, "Congratulations, Big Daddy." I don't know if there was any videos of Max reacting to Yuki calling him Big Daddy, but I died. I cannot believe that exists and that he went there and that Red Bull posted it. The other thing I wanted to mention was, when they were about to do the drivers parade, and Yuki and Max were sitting in their little Lego car. Yuki goes, "You have baby now. Treat me like baby." It made me laugh a lot. Yuki is so far from fatherhood. It's hilarious. Anyway, the other thing that the media has, like the weird narrative they've been really pushing during this time is that will Max be slower now that he's a dad? And I don't know where this narrative came from. I don't know if their thought process was like, well, now he has more lives to think about, so he'll be more careful, or I don't know what they were thinking, or like he's distracted, so I don't know where they were going with that. But they went there, and we'll get into it a bit for quality because it comes up a couple of times, but it's like a really weird narrative that they've chosen to run with. Like, I don't know why they would think anything would make Max slow. This isn't like referencing one specific thing, but there was a lot of interviews with Kimi and Ollie, and they're so chaotic together. They're absolutely hilarious. There was they talked about China where Kimi won driver of the day, and he was like, why did I win driver of the day? Ollie should have won driver of the day, and then like listed out all these stats about Ollie's drive that day. Then at another time, Ollie's like, I had this kind of time somewhere, and Kimi's like, no, that wasn't your time. Your time was like 26.7 or something very specific. And like, again, I feel like Kimi keeps trying to push the narrative that he's bad at math, and yet he clearly has a affinity for numbers. So I kind of feel like Kimi's really good at math. Anyway, they are both so unhinged and not media trained, and I really hope they never ever become media trained, because there's one thing, like, you know, we see not media trained people who say ridiculous things in the press, or like angry things, or like things they have to retract the next time, but they're so lovably chaotic. Like, it's not hurtful to anyone, and it's just great. I just more kids into F1, please. For the media specifically. And this wasn't before the race, this was Monday. But Lewis was a co-chair for the Met Gala, and he actually ate. I was obsessed with his fit. It was like this white suit, and there was a lot of embellishments on it that were very specific to the theme. I don't want to incorrectly explain it, so I'm linking in the show notes where he goes into detail about, there's like shells on there, and there's like other like beaded embellishments, and they all represent something, which I thought was really cool. And it was impeccably tailored, obviously, so he really hit the theme spot on. He looked great. He's a great canvas, and he ate. The Met Gala was very cool, though. There was also, I forget his name, but the guy who's in the F1 movie, that's not Brad Pitt, he also attended, and he drove up in a F1 car, and in a suit and a bedazzled helmet, came onto the carpet, and then the people around him like stripped the suit, like tore the suit off of him, and he was wearing like a full like suit, like just a suit and jacket for the Met Gala. It was really cool, actually. But also, what is the marketing budget for this film? Because like, it is insane, and I know it's going to be not great. But the marketing for it is out of this world. Like, it's just never ending, this budget. All right, lap 2, trackside in Miami. Miami weekend, which starts like Thursday-ish, and a little bit before because they get there earlier, feels like 3 months. There is so much happening. I would like to, there was one moment, I think it was on Saturday morning, Max was filmed walking into the paddock, and he goes, I would just like to point out, 7-time world champion, points to Lewis's car, 4-time world champion, points at himself, first one's here. It's not really like him to point stuff like that out. Like, he's sort of just like a silently accomplishes things, so that seemed a little out of left field for me personally. But I kind of feel like perhaps the media, a lot of the media comments about him being slower or missing media day and therefore being not on his A game and like flying in late and all that stuff, got to him. Not aggressively so, but enough for him to be a little bit sassy, because like, yes, just because he missed media day and didn't spend like 12 hours talking to the press and doing promo stuff, doesn't mean he's not gonna be fast. So, all right, I'll tell you who the king of Miami is, and that is Leo Leclerc. That dog loves Miami. Always shows up, shows out, 10 out of 10 every time. Charles posted a little dump of Leo arriving in Miami, and it was glorious. Everyone is filming Leo. You know where Leo is at all times. And then Williams also posted Leo visiting the Williams garage, paddock, whatever, with all of the wags. So it was Lily, Alex's girlfriend, Rebecca, Carlos's girlfriend, Alex, Charles's girlfriend, and Lily, Oscar's girlfriend, and they were all hanging out in the Williams paddock, hospitality, and Leo was there, and Williams was very excited that Leo was there. I think everyone was excited that Leo was there. I just like 10 out of 10 that Leo is the #1 F1 rep in Miami. But speaking of promo, they have these drivers out here doing the most absurd shit. Charles played a nighttime game of paddle for a sponsor. Also not a driver, but Alex, Charles's girlfriend, attended a Rhodes event with Hailey Bieber, which was insane in Miami. Christian Horner and Yuki Townsend. Christian Horner and Yuki Tsunoda attended a Sports Illustrated party with Tom Brady. By the way, Tom Brady and Yuki Tsunoda standing next to each other. Hilarious. Lewis Hamilton was at an event co-promoting his non-alcoholic beverage with Tom Holland, who also has a non-alcoholic beverage. Lando was promoting, I think it was Ralph Lauren polo, their cologne, but it was like at a Macy's at a mall. So there were all these videos coming out of like, I went to the mall and Lando's here. There was like a whole red carpet thing, but it was at a Macy's. It was kind of ridiculous. Alex Album and James Vowles flew fighter jet plane things a la Top Gun / Blue Angels. I think it was more Top Gun-esque, but they had the whole suits and they flew in the planes. That was crazy. But I think my favorite personal was Carlos Sainz did an event at a Home Depot last year, because Williams is sponsored by Home Depot or Duracell, whatever. They always end up in a Home Depot. And Alex Albon was telling the story last year about how he asked to go to the toilet when he was at the Home Depot, and they took him to the toilet section. And he's like, no, I need the toilet. And they're like, these are all our toilets. And he's like, I need to use one. But something about Carlos Sainz specifically being in a Home Depot feels so wrong in so many ways. Like, he is too bougie for Home Depot. Not that bougie people don't go to Home Depot, but Carlos is like European chic, old money vibes. And I just like, I can't imagine him sitting in a Home Depot on like an orange chair with like a hammer in the background. It's just really funny to me. Yuki also did a whole thing with Hard Rock Cafe, which was very exciting. They honestly gave so much content to the Red Bull admin. He's going to be rolling in extra footage for days. But one video was he was building a sushi car with their chef, and he kept eating the spare wheels. He's like, we don't need 8 wheels for a car. So he just kept eating the sushi as they were building the sushi car. And then I guess they made him ramen or some sort of soup. I thought it was ramen. But they were all gathering together to take a picture, all the chefs in the kitchen and Yuki kept eating the soup while they were all gathered trying to take a picture. And finally they're like, Yuki, stop eating. It was so funny. And then there was another cut of him. I guess they packaged the leftover soup for him, and he's like squatting in a corner next to a trash can, drinking from the takeout container, trying to get the soup. It was so funny, so relatable. Love Yuki. All right, moving on to liveries and fits. Mercedes went for like this maroon vibe with like giant tropical leaves on it. But the craziest part is they got t-shirts, and they got Toto in a t-shirt, and Toto spent all of sprint quali in a t-shirt. Toto. I was so disarmed seeing him in a t-shirt. It was crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Toto in a t-shirt in the garage. That was wild. But don't worry, weekend came around and he was back in the shirt, because he's not that cuckoo. He's not gonna watch the race in a t-shirt. No. Alpine went full pink. Very, very pink. I mean, not Alpine, sorry. RB, Red Bull Racing. Nope, not Red Bull Racing. AlphaTauri, whatever the fuck they are. RB, whatever. AlphaTauri went pink. The Ferrari livery might actually be one of the most offensive things my eyes have ever seen personally. The drivers are dressed in blue and white. They look like a printer, like an HP printer. It's fine. I get why they went that route, because also I feel, I don't know if it was the PR team, Lewis, but I feel like they made the right move by opting out of wearing red caps in Florida. But they were all like blue and white. And then the car, the top looked like they just put an HP printer on top of a Ferrari car. It was one of the least fluid, least cohesive liveries I think I've ever seen. It looked so disjointed and so ugly. Like, HP, let's talk. I know that you're a title sponsor. I know that's super important for you. I need you to understand that you are dealing, and I went through this when I started following F1. I went through this whole thing because Ferrari red is a little disarming. However, it is iconic. It is historic. It represents motorsport as a whole. Why do you feel the need to shove a printer on top of the livery? It makes no sense to me. I do not like it. Know your place. We will continue saying HP Ferrari if it makes you feel better. They can still wear their little logo on their suit, but Ferrari is red. It's called Ferrari red. You can't change that, and you need to accept and respect that. Goodness. There were a lot of celebrities present. I'm not going to list all of them. I will list some of them. Lisa from Blackpink, also White Lotus. Martin kept trying to talk to her. She seemed to be actively trying to ignore him. She was engaged in a conversation that seemed to become even more interesting as soon as Martin tried to talk to her. And I get it. Martin's a little weird. I also saw her like ignore a lot of interviews. I don't know if she feels uncomfortable talking to people. I don't know, or if she's being standoffish. I don't think she's being standoffish, but whatever it is, she kept ignoring him. And Sir Jackie Stewart was standing there, and he was like, "Do you want me to get her?" And Martin's like, "Yeah, Jackie, if you could. Her name's Lisa." And Sir Jackie just kept staring at him, and he was like, "It's just Lisa. You're not going to be rude if you just call her Lisa." And Sir Jackie seemed to think about it, and he was like, "Okay." And he went, tapped Lisa. He's like, "Hello, could you give an interview?" And she like walked over, but then she was like, "I'm Lisa," to Sir Jackie. And he was like, "I'm Jackie." And Martin's like interjecting. He's like, "That's Sir Jackie. He's really famous." It was very awkward, very uncomfortable. A classic Martin Brundle grid walk. Lisa was not about it. She said she was there for everyone. Jack Whitehall was there. He said that he was doing his rounds across the paddock, apologizing for F175. I actually don't think he has much to apologize for. Jack also dropped the most insane piece of information. He said him and James Vowles went out for espresso martinis together. Something I could not imagine, hard as I might. I can see Jack Whitehall having espresso martinis. I do not see James Vowles next to him also drinking an espresso martini. That seems unfathomable. And yet, apparently it happened. Would love to be a fly on the wall for that. Bon Jovi was there. Rosé was also there. So lots of Blackpink happening. She went straight to the Met Gala. No, she didn't. Lisa went to the Met Gala. I don't think Rosé went to the Met Gala. And then my personal favorite attendee, Timmy Chalamet, who I was not expecting, and who I certainly was not expecting wearing an RB Racing Bulls kit. He was in their paddock. I guess he was a get. How did they score Timothy Chalamet? Like, how? Liam looked starstruck, but kept his cool for sure. And then Isaac came in, and Isaac seemed a little too cool. Timmy started speaking French to him. He's like, "Ça va?" Isaac was like, "This man is speaking French to me." And Liam was like, "Oh yeah, you can speak French together." It was a ballsy interaction. I hope Timmy enjoyed the race. Not the best time to be in the Racing Bulls garage, but you know. Okay, well that's it for digital warm-up. On to analysis. Okay, on to analysis. So this was a sprint race weekend, and we had a momentous occasion occur during sprint quali. Kimi Antonelli got pole and became the youngest pole sitter ever. Move over, Max. Very, very exciting for Kimi, and the reactions were so wholesome. Videos of Toto celebrating in his t-shirt, him and Bono on the radio just cheering for each other. He's like, Bono, we did it. And Bono's like, we did it. Him hugging his dad in the garage. Lewis congratulated him on his story. It was just all very, very wholesome. Love to see it. In the sprint, Kimi immediately lost pole. The weather was super weird. There were so many crashes. It was a great sprint. Oscar was leading, actually, but as luck would have it, there was a safety car that came out just as Lando went into pit, which meant that Oscar had to slow down for safety car conditions, which meant that Lando came out of the pit lane ahead of Oscar, and the safety car just like went on basically to the end. So Oscar basically lost it, and he was so glum on the radio. He was like, "I'm never buying a lottery ticket in Miami." He does seem to lose out a lot to safety car, or did. That streak is over. But up until now, he seemed to have failed or not won when it came to safety cars. in terms of penalties, Max got a 10-second penalty for an unsafe release, which was quite a shame because basically his team released him too early and he rammed into Kimi and Antonelli. Kimi got out of the way pretty quickly, and I don't think there was too much damage. I saw debris flying off, but I don't think there was actually that much damage to anyone. But it was quite a shame because both of them might have had a better shot. Max ended up finishing like 17th because of the penalty. And then they were both asked about it at the end, and Kimi was like, this is obviously not Max's fault. It was just bad timing, and all I could do was try to swerve out of the way. Or bad on his team's part. It wasn't Max's specifically fault. Max was like, well, you guys saw what happened, so like it's not like there's anything I can say. I was told to go, I went. Red Bull really needs to, he says it's different than the problem they've had before where the red light didn't switch in time. I guess now it switched too early, or however he got released. But they really need to sort out whatever's going on during their pit stops because this is not acceptable. Ollie Bierman also received a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release. Alex received a 5-second penalty for failing to stay above the minimum lap time under the safety car, which he found out in the media pen. His team just like didn't tell him, or maybe they didn't know yet. I don't know. He found out as he was doing an interview and looked so crestfallen. It was really sad. Lawson received a 5-second penalty for causing a collision. So the results are as follows. Lando, Oscar, Lewis, George, Lance, Yuki, Kimi, Pierre, Nico, Isaac, Alex, Esteban, Liam, Ollie, Gabriel Bortoleto, Jack Doohan, Max Verstappen. And then Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, and Charles Leclerc DNF'd. Charles crashed into the wall like immediately, by the way. All right, quali. So the rumors that Max is slower because he's a dad now have been proven false because he got pole. He pointed out specifically during the press conference that he is on pole despite some of the comments that have been made as of late. Or the speculations, which is still a crazy thing for people to speculate. Lando also joked about it during an interview. He was like, I was hoping Max would be slower, but, you know, good job to him. Lando is such a toxic friend. Max needs to let go. No offense. All right, number 1, Max, Lando, Kimi, Oscar, George, Carlos, Alex, Charles, Esteban, Yuki, Isaac, Lewis, Gabriel Bortoleto, Jack Doohan, Liam Lawson, Nico Hülkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Ollie Bierman. That is our starting grid. And now we move on to the race. Okay, so basically at the start, Lando is second, Max is first. Lando tries to overtake Max because Max's start was a bit shaky. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But he couldn't. There was no space for him by the next apex, and he ended up losing 3 spaces. This incident has been hotly debated. Hotly. Is that a word? I think it is. It came naturally off my mouth. I hope it's a word. We will discuss the ins and out of it in a moment. But the other major thing at the start was that Jack Doohan got a puncture, and there was a yellow flag, then it was green, and during this time, Kimi really tried to overtake Max. Good for him. He was a little chaotic in his approach, but he put up a good, it was very impressive to watch, but he just couldn't really follow through. But by lap 2, Jack Doohan has stopped by the side of the road. There's a virtual safety car. Liam says he got hit by Jack, but Jack ended up having a puncture and DNFing. As did Liam Lawson. And Liam Lawson DNF'd as well because of this. Look, Jack Doohan is in a horrible position. Mentally, emotionally. Like, I can't imagine that is a safe space with the prospect of Franco Calpinto looming over him. And has been looming over him since the moment he got his seat. He didn't get like 5 seconds to enjoy it. So I get what position he's under, and we've seen like sparks of talent from him, but like I think there's so much panic there that he makes sometimes chaotic decisions, and I'm concerned we won't see him again on the grid. I'm concerned he won't be there in Emilia-Romagna, which is a shame because I think if he was in a more nurturing environment, he would have potential. But alas, he's not in a nurturing environment. He is with Flavio, which is terrifying. All right, let's talk about the main things, which is Max versus McLaren. So Max is leading at the beginning. Lando tries to overtake him. this was deemed a racing incident. It seemed kind of similar to what happened last time, 2 weeks ago with Oscar. However, there were 2 corners, I believe, and going into the first corner, Lando was very, very, very slightly ahead, but by the next corner, Lando did not have the apex, which means Max is not under any obligation to give the space back. Or, I mean, that means that Lando doesn't really, it's not his corner, and Max is free to position his car as he pleases. He did not push Lando off. He just held his racing line. There's a lot of debate about whether he should have gotten a penalty. I don't think he should have. And I do think that this speaks to a larger concern with Lando specifically, because a little bit later, Max is battling Oscar. Lando had fallen back 3 spaces. Max is battling Oscar, and Oscar does the same move basically that Lando did, but pulls. It was an incredible battle, by the way. Max versus Oscar was so fun to watch because, again, as we've talked about before, Oscar doesn't back off. He just keeps going. And it's so impressive to watch. It's like he learned. He saw how Max races. He's experienced it. He's learned from it, and he's applied it, which is what you would expect from people to do. And he does it successfully. He's cool, calm, collected. I think Max really respects that, because Max knows that he's not going to back out or do something chaotic or whatever it is, which is what you expect from Lando. Lando does not have the follow-through with Max. He makes mistakes. He lets Max push him into mistakes and then whines about it. Oscar doesn't do that. Oscar follows through, because then eventually Oscar passes Max. It was pretty incredible. It was a pretty incredible like wheel
action.
And then Lando is now catching up to Max. And like, we're going to be honest, Max is fast, but the McLaren car is out of this world. It's exceptional, to the point where people are, again, concerned there's cheating. Lando's car is so much faster than Max that there's only so much Max can do other than defeat Lando through skill and racing ability. His ability to defend is so impressive. It's so impressive. It took Lando like 3 laps in a significantly faster car to overtake Max, because Max kept positioning his car so perfectly on the track. He wouldn't let Lando pass. Lando could not figure out how to get past Max. And this is his like 800th time battling Max. He's spent all last season battling Max. He knows how Max works. He knows his moves. He knows he should know him. And he doesn't. It took him so long to pass. Eventually, him and Oscar finished like 30 seconds ahead of everyone, with Max ended up 4th because he got screwed over and George by the virtual safety car, with a pit stop, and George ended up ahead, and that's just the way it went. But it's just such a shame to watch Lando not be able to evolve as a driver. All he has is raw speed. Not all he has, but most of what he has is raw racing speed. He is fast and he is talented. That's it. Oscar is not winning because he's more talented or faster than Lando. In fact, I'm pretty sure Lando is faster than Oscar, but it's like one of those things, right? You know, like I had these two guys in my high school class, both of them very smart. One was naturally very gifted, just like naturally super, super smart, gave 0 fucks, did not try, did not do anything, skated by. The other one was a little less naturally gifted, but he worked so hard, day in, day out. He put in so much effort, and like that is what made him more impressive than the guy who was skating by but was naturally gifted. Like, it seems like a waste of gift. And I don't know if necessarily Lando is skating by intentionally. Like, it's not like he doesn't give a fuck. It's just like he's not growing and evolving as a driver, and it's really annoying to watch. It's like really frustrating. Like, what do you mean? Like, after the race, he was bitching about Max again, and he was like, well, if Max wants to put himself in that position, then who am I to stop him? Like, he ruined his own race. He's not racing very smart. He could have finished third today, and he didn't because of that. So he's fighting hard as always expected, but that's the way it is. So he's again placing the blame on Max for him not being able to pass. And when they're being their post-race interview, they're being driven on this little truck, and it's also like, it wasn't a cool down room, but they had like armchairs to discuss things, and they were being interviewed one by one, and you can see Oscar in the background of Lando's interview, where Lando is like, well, Max did this, and like, that's the way things went, and like, there's only so much I could do, like, he's just like unruly or whatever, that's how, whatever. Just like subtly shading Max, and you could see Oscar give like a side eye in the background, because he did the exact same move on Max and succeeded, because he followed through, was confident with his move, and didn't do something weird and stupid on the track like Lando. Not that Lando did something weird and stupid, but like, sometimes it's like chaotic reactions to Max. Sometimes it's not following through. Like, it's not that he's like lacks aggression. It's just like he's not placing it correctly. And I just don't know why he can't fight Max. Because Oscar figured out in like 3 races how to fight Max. Less. So again, it's too early to call whether Oscar has one up on Lando for this championship. But he has one up on Lando for this championship, because I mean, again, it's his mindset. He is going to win because he is cool as a fucking cucumber, and Lando's not. And again, so Lando always goes like, Lando's always asked like, is you being more vulnerable in interviews and more emotionally available, is that like your thing? And he's like, yeah, like, I don't know how to be any other way. I just want to express how I feel. All of that is valid. Lando is more than valid to express how it feels. Talking about mental health, talking about the toll it takes, all of that is super important and super impressive to be able to express in a public setting. However, Lando will also, and he does do that, but he will also clump in like bitching about Max, or like being angry about how things turned out, but not taking accountability for it. He'll lump that in with being vulnerable, and that's not what it is. That's just like not saying too much in an interview. Like, you don't need to share all that, because it's just not true. Take accountability for your actions. Learn from your mistakes. You are fast and talented. You should be able to fight Max. Max defends you in every interview he does. He says you are fast and talented and that you can beat him. You're just not doing it. Max is defending you till the day he dies. Lando seems like such a toxic friend to Max. All he does is like subtly shade him to anyone he talks to. And Max is steadfast in defending Lando, defending their friendship, and it's just frustrating to watch. The cool down room wasn't like crazy or anything, but I did laugh when Oscar like sank down into his armchair and was like, oh, so what happened? And they watched all the overtakes with Max and the McLarens, and George was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Even George didn't think Max was being crazy. So like, if George doesn't think Max is being crazy, and every time Lando like said something about Oscar, like every time Lando said something about Max that was low-key shady, Oscar was just kind of silent, because Oscar figured out how to battle Max, and he's a worthy contender. And I think he'll win the championship. All right, so on the podium, they had the CMO of McLaren up there. She was drenched by the end. She looked like she regretted deeply ever agreeing to this. But like, putting her up there was, again, one of the best moves McLaren could have made, because truly, if there's one thing McLaren is good at, it's marketing. Their brand deals, their marketing, their promotions, all of it. They're just so good at it. So good at it, and that's where they shine. That's how they carried through for the years that they had a shitty car, was incredible marketing. So good for her. Alex also, by the way, in the media pen, was saying that he was very excited about Williams' progress, because this is the first time he's ever visually seen Max finish a race, including the time when he was a Red Bull, which made me laugh. But yes, that like, it's not great to watch Max's or Red Bull's downfall, but it is great to watch Williams soar and thrive. Before I forget, Ferrari had the craziest radios with Lewis. He was so sassy. It was like, those are going to the words of wisdom. He was trying to basically overtake. He wanted orders to swap with Charles. Charles, by the way, was not informed of this until later, and once he was informed, he swapped. Lewis didn't know that, so he didn't understand what was going on. When he asked, he was faster. He was faster than Charles, I think. And he kept asking, and then he went, "You just want me to sit here the whole race?" And his engineer goes, "I'll come back to you." And then he says, "Why can't I go past? In China, I got out of the way, and now you won't let me pass." And his engineer's like, "Oh, you can pass now." And Lewis goes, or his engineer was like, "We discussed." I can't remember what his engineer says. Something like, "We discussed it, and you can pass now." And Lewis goes, "Oh, we'll have a tea break while you're at it." Come on. Because it took them so long to come to the decision to let him pass. It was 3 laps later. His tires were definitely more worn. He was not significantly faster than Charles at this point. And later in the race, they have to swap back. And his engineer gets on the radio at one point and goes, "Sainz is 1.4 seconds behind." And Lewis goes, "You want me to let him pass as well?" So much sass. Honestly, I love sassy Lewis. It's a little rude to the engineer, but I think it's well warranted given how stupid his engineer's response are. And we haven't seen sassy Lewis in a while. It was not a vibe at Mercedes, and here he can unleash the sass, and I'm here for it. Lewis was definitely frustrated after the race. There were videos of him and Fred talking quite animatedly in the hospitality. Don't know what the result was, but he was the next day at the Met Gala. So Fred was asked what he thinks about Lewis being upset, and he goes, "Yes, well, this is a life. This is life, you know." He's so French. The most important thing that happened post-race was that Oscar did, in fact, do the griddy. And to explain this, we need to go back to Thursday. So on Thursday, he met Justin Jefferson. They did a hot lap, and then he taught him how to throw, whatever. And he also, Justin Jefferson, for those who don't know, has become kind of famous for doing the griddy as a celebration after on the field. And he was teaching Oscar to do the griddy, taught him, was the most socially awkward griddy I've ever seen someone do. And then he was like, "If you win, you have to do it." And Oscar was like, "Okay, sure. If I win, I will do it." Never in a million years did I think Oscar was going to do the fucking griddy. I was like, you, Justin, are dreaming. He will not even remotely think about the griddy. Oscar is not doing the griddy. Come Sunday, Oscar wins the race, gets on the car, celebrates, gets off the car. I'm like, he's not doing the griddy. He goes to hug the team. I'm like, he's not doing the griddy. Hugs the team, steps back, attempts the griddy, does one step, and then face palms himself, shakes his head. He's like, "Nah, I'm not doing this." It was so funny because never, ever, ever in a million years did I think Oscar was going to hit the griddy. Could we really say he hit the griddy? He touched it gently from afar, but he certainly tried, and that was more than I ever even anticipated. He said after, it was really funny, in the post-race press conference, Lawrence asked him, well, he said, "You did that jig," after the race. So lovely to hear a posh British man calling the griddy a jig. And Oscar was like, "Look, I lost a bet." I didn't interpret his conversation with Justin Jefferson as a bet. I just interpreted it as "You gonna do the griddy?" And Oscar was like, "Sure, I'll do the griddy." Apparently, Oscar took it as a bet. But he was like, "I qualified 4th. So I was like, there is no way I'm winning this. So I'm not really gonna practice." He's like, "I practiced a little bit, but then I gave up after I qualified 4th. So I'm like, that's not happening." And as I'm coming into the final lap, it hits me, shit, I have to do the griddy. And he attempted it, and he said we will never, ever see it again. Justin Jefferson, however, has not given hope. He has commented multiple times that they will keep working on it. So Oscar just has to keep on winning, and they will master the griddy. That's never happening. I mean, I said this was never going to happen, but mastering the griddy is certainly not happening. But it's so funny. Of all the people on this grid, Oscar Piastri was 1,000,000% the last person I would expect to hit the griddy. And he did. And I think that is the biggest news story of the day, because not only is Oscar on the way to becoming a world champion, he also did the griddy. All right, so the driver of the day is Oscar Piastri, and honestly, yes, fully agree. An excellent drive is getting acknowledged. We've had some whack-ass driver of the days recently that made no sense to me. Oscar said it wasn't his best. I mean, his racecraft was out of this world. Battling the way he battled Max when we just watched the same battle happen with Lando and fail. I mean, Lando overtook him, but it wasn't because of Lando's racecraft. He was impressive. People are also saying he's not dominating, and sure, he's not dominating the way Max dominated in 2022 when he won like every single race, basically. Not all of them, but most of them. 2023. But he is doing well. Oscar is doing really well. He is coming across as a very smart, emotionally stable, talented driver, which again to me is more impressive because he hones his racecraft. It's not pure raw talent. I just really love Oscar. It almost makes me happy that I have this, even it's Daniel's helmet. Someone got this for me, but I used to be a little ashamed of it because I don't like Zach Brown or particularly Lando, but now this can be my little Oscar helmet. All right. Taking the box. I'm just going to say it. I think it's Lando. I think his little bitching, and it's like subtle bitching. It's not like overt bitching, but he's still bitching about Max. And instead of just putting his head down and learning how to battle Max, he's just bitching about Max. And then Max continues to just be his best friend. So I think he's a bit of a dick in the box. And I think Oscar is driver of the day in my heart and soul. He did fantastic. All right, so the final results are Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, George Russell. George Russell is just always there. Like, he has exceptionally unexceptional races this entire season, but they are good enough to get him on the podium. He's been on the podium so many times, like an unnecessary amount of times, and I cannot remember a single thing he did in a race. So good for George. Honestly, good for George for maximizing on other people's losses and failures. Anyway, George was third, followed by Max, Alex Albon in fifth is crazy behavior. He is doing so good. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy to see him thrive. I'm so happy to see him ahead of a Mercedes, a Ferrari, both Ferraris, ahead of a Red Bull. Like, he's just doing 10 out of 10 work. He's so good. Followed by Kimi, Charles, Lewis, Carlos in 9th, followed by Yuki in 10th, then Isaac, Esteban, Pierre Gasly, Nico Hülkenberg, Fernando Alonso, and Lance Stroll. And Liam Lawson, Gabriel Bortoleto, Ollie Bierman, and Jack Doohan all DNF'd. The standings currently are as follows. Oscar with 131 points, Lando with 115, Max with 99, George with 93, Charles with 53, Kimi with 48, Lewis with 41, Alex with 30, Esteban with 14, and Lance with 14. Lance is holding on strong to P10. Oscar and Lando have 16 points between them. Max is 99 points. Obviously, everything is still to play for. We're so early in the season, but it's looking pretty good for Oscar. I don't want to jinx him. I really don't want to jinx him because I'm like, I would be so excited if he won, but things are looking good. These team standings are McLaren with 246, Mercedes with 141, Red Bull with 105, Ferrari with 94, Williams with 37, Haas with 20, Aston with 14, Racing Bulls with 8, Alpine with 7, and Kick Sauber with 6. That's it for the Miami Grand Prix. What a race. That was so fun. Next up is Imola, which is probably going to be significantly more boring. However, I'm down for whatever, as long as I get to eat pasta and as long as I get to say pizza, basta, Piastri. So don't let me down, Oscar. Anyway, see you guys very soon in Imola. Until then, make sure you follow, subscribe, share with any boxes, and follow me on social media at BoxBoxF1Pod to keep up in between races. Until then, box.